Stephanie, tell me about crate training mistakes that people make. And before that, also explain to people what crate training is.
Okay. So crate training is about helping your dog to get comfortable in a crate. Okay. So it's not just shoving your dog in there and saying, hey, have fun. It is really taking the time to help them feel comfortable in the crate. And so a lot of things that people do is what I just said. They just throw their dog in a crate. They expect it to be fine. They've heard all of these things. Dogs are den animals. They should be fine in a small spot. And many dogs are not. You really have to help them understand that they're safe in the crate. It's comfortable. Guardians used to use crates to kind of as a solution for fixing a behavior. So your dog is chewing on things, so you put them in the crate instead of teaching them not to chew on things, or they're having accidents in the house. And so you're using the crate as a management tool. And that's fine as long as that is not the end result of your training. So if you can't watch your dog to make sure that they're not chewing up everything, then placing them in the crate for a period of time, if they are comfortable in their crate, is just fine. So you can go about your business and not worry about whether or not they're going to get a hold of your shoes or an electrical cord. However, it can't be the be all and end all solution. You do have to teach them that cords are not for chewing and neither are shoes. Okay. So what crate training does is it keeps them contained and away from all of the things that they might get into. However, it doesn't teach the dog what to do instead. So it's a temporary support system for you as a guardian while you are actively teaching your dog how to live in your home with freedom and confidence. Okay, so that's a big problem is they just don't have the right concept when it comes to a crate. I do think that crate training is important because I think it's an important life skill. If your dog needs to go to the groomer, some groomers crate dogs. If your dog has to be in your vet overnight, they're going to be in a crate. If your dog has an injury and must have, light activity, then they're going to tell you you really need to make sure that they're crated. None of these situations are low stress situations for your dog. And so I really think it's important to teach your dog to be comfortable in the crate before you need it. Okay.
So I have a dog and I've decided I want to use crate training. What steps would I take to get this all pulled together?
Ooh, okay. So first of all, you would go very slow. I mean, one of the easier things to do is just start feeding your dog in the crate, but that's with the crate door open. So you're going to make games about around being in the crate. So maybe you go in and you come out, you go in and you come out, and you get rewarded every single time. Or we play a little bit of tug while you're in the crate, or you get your dinner while you're in the crate. And it's very short periods of time without even closing the door. And then once they're kind of, having no problem going in and out, they're not showing any concern, then what you're going to do is you're going to start closing that door. And for some dogs, it may just be a little movement with the door and they're like, oh my gosh, and they're running out. Okay. So then you're staying right there until they're comfortable, waiting until that door is opened back up and then they're coming out. So you really want to make sure that you are um, going very, very slow and you're looking for signs of stress in your dog. If you're seeing any signs of stress, you're either stopping or backing off, one of the two. Okay. And then you shouldn't be closing them up for any kind of period of time until they're comfortable with you closing the door, going and walking away, and being in another room for a little bit and coming back.
Very good. What else do we need to know?
Setup is really important. Okay. And also how your dog is feeling in the crate is very important. So you want to make sure that your dog is feeling safe. It should be like a cozy retreat. They should feel comfortable with it. And then start that slow conditioning that I talked to you about. Not all dogs benefit from crate training. So you may get one of those dogs that has real problem. Some of us are claustrophobic. So, it's fair that they just don't like to be in closed spaces. And that could be just their disposition, but it could also be past traumas that may be contributing to it. So when you're in the situation like that, that close confinement of a crate can worsen the problem. Okay. So while you're crate training and while you are, if you do have a dog that does have problems being in the crate, think X pen instead of crate. What we're talking about is, yes, you're kind of containing the dog, but it's a bigger space. Or have them in a particular room for themselves so that they have more room. If that's what what you're trying to do is control them from chewing on things while you're teaching them not to chew on things, or potentially working on potty training, that kind of thing, then use a larger space, and that will help to solve that problem. And then the other
Yes.
part is, where are you putting them? So they are never going to get comfortable in a crate if a whole ton of people are constantly walking right by them and maybe talking to them, patting on the crate, that kind of thing. You don't want to put them in a high traffic location. Okay, you want it to be where there's people, but you also want it to be not where everybody's walking. So you want to make sure that you are kind of putting it a little bit out of the way, but not isolating the dog. Okay. And then the other thing is size. You need to get the appropriate size of crate for the dog. Okay. You want to make sure that the dog can stand up, turn around, and lie down comfortably in the crate that you provide them. Not so big that it feels like huge, or in the case of using it for potty training, it gives them a nice little space over to the side where they can go potty and not be in the midst of it. Okay. So again, a quiet but not isolated spot away from loud activity, but still part of the active part of the home. And then finally, people use their crates as punishment. So you found that the dog had an accident, or you found that they chewed something, and you're frustrated and you get that dog into the crate, usually not very nicely. And then what does that teach the dog? That the crate's not a happy place. It's not a place for calm. It's a place where they're being punished. Okay, so make sure that you are being very calm when you're crating. Even if you are using it, and don't ever use it as a punishment, but sometimes we'll put our dogs in our crate in the crate because we do find something, and okay, we don't have time to do any training on this right now. Clearly the dog is, needing some activities. Let's put them in the crate with a stuffed Kong to give them some enrichment, but we can't watch them right now, so we're going to put them in the crate. That's very different than, I can't believe you did this, and shoving them in the crate. Okay. Um, and then finally, make sure that you are creating some kind of an exit plan. This is not long term. Do I still have crates up in my house? Yes, I do. But the doors are off of them. The doors are not attached anymore. Why do I do that? Because I crate trained my dogs, and they all love their crate, but I don't have to shut them in it, right? I'll just tell them to go to their spot, and they'll stay there, and they'll be fine.
That's nice, and that truly is what good crate training is all about, when the dog loves it. And
Hmm.
you had mentioned too, making sure that it's large enough so the dog is comfortable, but not so large that the dog can have an accident and
Yes.
still be comfortable
Yes.
because they don't want to make a mess in their own bed, correct?
Yes. No, unless have come from a circumstance where they had no choice, most dogs will not soil where they sleep.
So, is there any type of formula for the dimensions that somebody should think about or use, or you just use your common sense?
How tall is your dog? You want them to be able to stand up, right? And turn around and lay down comfortably. So one of the things you're going to want to take into consideration is, how does your dog tend to sleep when they're laying down? Are they kind of a sprawler? Okay. Or do they get into a little ball? Okay, and so you're going to want it, that's very different width and length depending on what is needed. But they should be able to stand, turn around comfortably, and lay down. That's another big mistake that people make, is they make their dogs spend way too much time in the crate. Part of that is age specific. Okay, you're not going to want to have a young puppy in a crate for too long. But even adult dogs, crating them all day long while you're at work and then again at night, that is just not a very enriching life. And so they need those breaks, even if you need to have them crated for whatever reason. If you're gone all day, you need to have somebody come in and let them out and let them, stretch their legs a little bit. you can cause all sorts of health problems if you crate your dog too long, including things like muscle atrophy. Yeah, so you need to make sure that you are making those periods short enough that and getting them out and getting them moving.
Right. Thank you. Great information. Everyone, just a reminder that if you do have problems crate training a dog or you have extra questions, Stephanie is available for a consultation. And I will list all of her contact information in the show notes. And I'll tell you, if you do call her, you'll love it. It's a wonderful experience.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
Stephanie. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Lee. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.